this fella that's been, he's been helping me out with some projects out at the house. And anyway, his I mean, the motorcycle looks like brand new, but it's a 2004, 105,000 miles. I said, you've done some riding, yeah. JP.
Okay. Morning. 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 How many are there? Oh, he did give one. He gave one to the press. Okay. Okay. Yep.
Morning, Harry. We got 1,500 out at our place. Well, I think most of it blew by though. It was really windy. Oh yeah. My neighbor burned his ditch Saturday. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There goes another 20 minutes of my life. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
It is 9 a.m. I am going to call this meeting of the Codington County Board of Commissioners to order. It is Tuesday, September 29th, 2020. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Commissioner Waterman, I believe it's your turn.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Item number 2 on the agenda, call for public comment. We will still allow individuals to call in at 882-6248 and 882-6297. And we will take public comment during the open part of our meeting. And these are on items that are not on the agenda and for informational purposes only. Item number 3, conflict of interest items. Are there any conflicts on the agenda for any of the commissioners?
No. Oh, no.
All right, hearing none. Item number 4, action to approve the September 29th, 2020 agenda.
Second.
Motion by Van Duzen, second by Waterman.
No, but Johnson.
Johnson. The only thing we're going to do on the agenda is we're going to move item number 10 right after our public hearing on the provisional budget for those individuals to get that taken care of. All right. With that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, that motion carries. Item number 5, action to approve the minutes of the September 22nd, 2020 meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Gable,
Second.
second by Van Duzen. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Item number 6, the public hearing on the 2021 provisional budget. And we will address the commissioner portion a little bit later when we adopt it, but I would open it up to the public at this time if anyone has anything that they would like to discuss about the 2021 provisional budget. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing portion of that, and then we will come back to adopting it later in the meeting. All right, then we'll move to item number 10, discussion with the City of Watertown officials regarding rural ambulance service. Some of you want to come up and use the mic. Whoever is going to talk, just state your name and use the mic, and then we'll just kind of go.
Morning, Reed.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning, Reed.
Nice to see you. Thanks for having us. My name is Reed Holeen. I'm here as a city council person for the City of Watertown. In the back with me, I have Mayor Sarah Karen, Council President Adam Lallam, Councilman Glenn Villauer, and then my two other guests you will be meeting here in a moment. We are here just out of collegial respect. We value the good working relationship that the city has had with the county. We want to keep that going. So we have a city issue that impacts the county, and we thought in our discussion amongst ourselves that it would be wise and prudent to bring this to you guys so that you guys aren't blindsided with it, and you know what we're going to be doing, so that if you start fielding some questions, and then also maybe you have some ideas for us as well. So with that said, I'm going to pass it off to the experts on this area, Chief Doug Kranz and Assistant Chief Don Rowland.
Thanks, Reed.
Morning, guys. Morning, guys.
Good morning.
Morning, fellas. Ladies. Well, thank you very much, Reed, for just kind of going through that a little bit. Again, Assistant Chief Don Rowland, my colleague, Chief Kranz. Kind of what we want to do, just kind of go through, we kind of shared like a presentation to everyone. If you just want to follow through, I know that Lee put it on the, it's on the screen too as well. Okay, so we can kind of look through it as well. So first and foremost, we just wanted to give you a little history of the department in general as far as our services we've been providing over the last few years. Our EMS was established in 1950 by Watertown Fire Rescue in the city of Watertown. We were paid on-call 24-hour service. I think most of you guys know that. The ambulance coverage is the majority of Codington County for the last 70 years. We became an advanced life support ambulance back in 1985. So we have 38 staff members, and all 38 of us are paramedics. Our current coverage area that we currently have is 14 townships in Codington County, as well as 4 city villages as well. So that's kind of the history of the department. Next page talks about current funding. Current funding for Watertown Fire Rescue is providing protection to our county. Our budget is derived from our city general fund. The current general fund allocation is 60% sales tax that we receive for revenue, and 32% property taxes.
So that's the, Madam Chair, so that's the proportion of the general fund to the proportion of the budget. Right, okay.
To how we receive our funds is to pay for services is 60% or 68% general sales tax, and then 32% property tax. Okay. Again, we all support that 68% sales tax in our community. I think most of you guys all aware, everybody here shops locally. But 30% of the city's general fund to provide ambulance protection is paid for by our citizens of our city residents. Unfortunately, the county residents are not on that 32% number. So I'm gonna just kind of let Chief Kranz talk about the codified laws that we use to kind of put this together back last year by using the township 8-9-7 codified law.
Yes, thank you, Don. Chief Doug Kranz here. The first one you have in front of you is 8-9-7 codified law, and that's to do with townships. And this is put into place that says we can go to our townships and negotiate fees for service, which is different than an ambulance call. A call is a charge per call basis, and this would be a service fee that would go directly to the township board for approval. This was put into play due to the fact that a lot of services in the state of South Dakota are struggling with funding, and as medical costs and things go up, as we'll talk about in a little bit. The state has given us some tools to work with, as a community, work together to solve some of these problems and be able to fund all our ambulances in South Dakota. So this one just basically tells about that. Okay, next slide. Also, 34-11-1 has to do with city codified law, cities and villages, and we do serve 4 villages within our jurisdiction. And so this law would pertain to them. That says any government ambulance service can work with those subdivisions in the same manner as the townships, and to help support funding to keep for an ambulance service. So that's that one.
Okay, just moving on to the ambulance service protection agreements. We've been providing service since 1950, and I think that's just an expectation of what we've been doing for the last X amount of years. One of the reasons we stepped out and asked for some funds from the townships and the local villages is the medical supplies that we currently are putting on our rigs is extremely expensive. And I think everybody knows costs continue to go up in every aspect. And believe me, you guys are tasked with the same things in every regards when it comes to continue to find extra money for expenditures for your departments. But in this particular case, our medical supplies per calendar year is about $150,000 just in capital expenditures just for our ambulance. That has nothing to do with our staffing and what it costs to have people go out on these calls. So with the ambulance, you know, you're talking about the life pack monitor, the power cot, our Lucas CPR machine, as well as the IV pumps and things of that nature. We're about $150,000 with that in the ambulance as such. So we have 5 advanced life support ambulances on staff, and they are staffed 24/7, 365. So when somebody calls for 911 in Eden Township, and it's 20+ miles away, obviously it's going to be a little bit longer to get there, but they're going to be coming staffed with 2 fully trained paramedics onto that township. So
I just like to have one more thing on that, Don, and that's also on the computer aided dispatch. We have laptops right in our ambulances right now with mapping capabilities. So anytime there's a minimum maintenance road, or you don't plow them in the wintertime or whatever, or they're flooded with water, if that information gets over to dispatch, we can get that right onto our cab. When it maps us out to the scene, it will actually put a roadblock and won't route us a different way. So very, very good piece of equipment for responding to emergency calls in the county. So,
and what we're asking for is a small portion of the funding of that medical supply cost. Like I said, $150,000 a year. Our thought is to keep it as small as possible, because we know these people don't have any funds.
Just a clarification. So that's $150,000 a year to keep each ambulance up and running with all the proper supplies, or that's the cost?
One ambulance, $150,000 every 2 years.
It's about,
Yeah, supply and the ambulance, it's about $300,000.
okay.
Yeah,
just to keep all 5 of them up the
Right, okay.
yeah. And what we do, Lee, great question, is every 10 years we trade out an ambulance, and at that 10-year mark, we go ahead and get a new ambulance plus equipment. I think we're about 300 to 320. I think in the next 5-year plan, we have identified 2 other ones in the next 4 years, and they're at 312 and 330 respectively with equipment. So, and that's not part of our normal budget. That's part of the second penny sales tax. Okay. Okay, on to the next slide. Just the protection agreement in general. We can provide these through that codified law that Doug just touched on, that 34-11 and the 89-7 for our townships and villages respectively. You know, ultimately our goal is to provide this service and go into an agreement with our townships and local villages. And this was started back last fall. Myself and Cindy had some conversations back, I think in August range, and we kind of talked about some of the townships that were in our area, and getting supervisors and stuff like that, so we could send out the information to folks. And timeline a little bit, we went ahead then and offered up meetings with our townships. We did have some show up to our meeting, and just to give a brief informational, myself and the chief went out to all the villages to speak at their town board meetings and explain to them what the cost would be associated with this and what it was going to cost them per village and township. This agreement that we sent out, this MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, was sent out last December, I believe. And we offered them to have this paid by June 1st of this calendar year. Now we have some that are still, we're waiting on. We're still working with some of those folks, but this is a 5-year agreement with no annual increases. So when they signed this, they knew that they wouldn't have to have an increase in the next 5 years. So the next slide will just kind of show you our county in general, just a picture. And what we did is we just identified currently where we're at. We have, of the 14 townships, we have 10 under agreement at this point. The 4 townships that we're currently still working with are Eden Township, Phipps, Graceland, and Henry Township. As you can see, they're all on the western side of Codington County at this point.
You can see the color coding better on the.
Yeah, definitely the black and white, so show it. It's in red up there. We did have Elmira just recently in the last few days come to agreement with us as well. So they're no longer a part of that townships that haven't agreed to us yet. As far as the city villages, we're still working with Henry City Village as well as Florence City Village in regards to payment on the service fee. Again, I believe it's around $17,000 is what we asked for. The next page kind of touches on some of those in a couple seconds here. Again, no township or village is required to sign per that codified law. It's an agreement that they have to maintain with us.
And can I interrupt you for just a second?
Yes.
You said $17,000 is what you had asked for. Can you back up and
Okay, so
just hit on that again?
Well, basically what we did, we identified the populations. Thanks for that question, Troy. We identified X amount of dollars per township per population. So some paid $500, some pay $750, some pay $1,000. We can ask for up to $1,000 by codified law, no more than $1,000, but it has to go to the vote of the people and that township in order to increase that. So we decided that that wasn't something that we wanted to do. We wanted to keep these funds requests as low as possible. So the population based, I guess I didn't bring that chart with this, what we determined, but we set it at $500, $750, and $1,000. So some of them are paying $500, some are paying $750, and some are paying $1,000. So
For a total combined countywide of 17,000.
total wide.
Slide will touch on that a little bit.
Okay.
More detail on the cost per.
Okay, thank you. Don.
Okay, so again, we're not required to provide EMS service outside of city jurisdictions. Just we want to make sure you're aware of that. But again, like I said, we've been doing it for the last 70 years, and we want to stay with past practice. Obviously, we just want to simply show the value of our service and have the support of the townships and villages that we serve, but a small annual service fee that will help offset some of the costs that we just alluded to. Okay, so again, the last slide, we'll just kind of share that with Troy a little bit. The total cost of our ambulance service contracts we are requesting accumulates to $17,000. I will tell you that Florence is a little bit higher. They're at $2,500. Henry's just a little bit higher at $1,500, but again, that's based on the population that we identified. We didn't do it on calls for service. We did it on population. We want to be very clear that that's what we identified it with. Again, that's 14 townships, 4 villages. We've identified that we do 585 square miles. There's 3 other townships, Leola Township, Waverly Township, as well as, is it German Township? That is being covered by South Shore right now at this time. I will tell you that in 2019 and 2020, respectively, right now, we respond to 90% of those calls in those townships as well, or more. So, and we do transport those patients. And unfortunately, some of the volunteer services just are not able to meet those needs for those patients. Again, we serve that X amount of 500. I think it's 700 plus square miles in the county, but we do 585 with South Shore doing some of it respectively. Again, we have 4,900 and 5,500 outside of city of Watertown residents in the county. And we did a little math. Obviously, the average cost for county resident for the 17,000 comes up to about $3.40. So we wanted to just kind of share with you where we are in no way wanting to come forward and asking these people and these townships and these governing bodies for a ton of money because we know they don't have it. And we tried to keep it as small as much as possible. I know some of the townships, as well as the city villages, are a little Disappointed in how this was handled. Here's the thing, we sent out many letters, every people to these groups, and unfortunately, some of it didn't get to those. I know some of you commissioners have fielded some of those calls from those township board members, but we're trying to work as best as possible. I'll let Doug kind of finish up on that.
Thank you. So Don is right. First of all, in our service area, we work outside of our service area along with many other smaller EMT services. We help them out with advanced life support intercepts. We also help them out with the intercepts as well as mutual aid. Anytime they have something, we come out. So anybody having chest pain out in these smaller services like South Shore, Esseline, Castlewood, all these around us, we will go out with our paramedics and cardiac monitors. We'll send 12 of these right to the hospital. It's basically an ER right on wheels, and it's a great service to be able to work together with these smaller services. We need all these services within our state of South Dakota. They're all having hardships, and they're all signing into some additional sources of funding. So we have to work with them to keep them afloat, because I don't know what we would do without them in other communities, because we can't grow our service area any bigger than it is right now. We're already stretched way out there. So we want to help provide services, not only them, but even to South Shore. Anytime we need those folks, and we have something, school bus accident or anything in our own community, we need mutual aid out of South Shore, Esselines, all of them. So we work together with those folks and to work through this. And there is the point is, there is no law that says anybody has to have signed into an agreement or have an ambulance service for their township or subdivision village. We also, as you can see, there's no law saying we have to provide it. What we want to do is just really work with all the townships and villages to say, we've done this a long time. We need a little bit of support out of everybody, just to keep the wheels turning. And that's all we're really doing. We don't want to make any changes. We don't want to make increases on this amount of, well, that's why we put a 5-year start on it, a 5-year term on the MOU, and just working through this with those folks. We've had really good reception out of most of them, the townships that are remaining up there. We've worked with those folks. Right now they're in the fields harvesting and stuff. So working with them on the phone. And I did find out that just a phone call is still the best way to get a hold of the townships, because they're in the field all day and stuff, and they don't have a lot of meetings and stuff. So we've been reaching out to them, and I'm fairly confident we got good reception out of all of the townships, and we're also working with the cities at this point too. So just wanted to let you aware of it, and if you had any specific questions.
I gave this to everybody. This is the report that I'm working on right now. Column H is what you want to look at. That'll show you what each township is allowed to levy for property taxes pay 2021, just so you've got an updated copy. Okay.
Doug, I have a question. Go back to page 3. When you're talking about the current funding, you said 68% of sales tax and 32% is property tax. Now, is this after, because I know you charge for your service. I mean, I was going through some old records last night, and I could see, my wife had an ambulance ride, and I had an ambulance ride, and we paid for both of them. Well, and insurance was in as well. So there's revenue resources from insurance and from, like me, I actually wrote a check. I wrote a check right to you guys,
You are correct.
So is this over and above
so
that?
Technically, it's our overall budget minus our revenue. It would be the balance of that would be 68% of that funding would come from sales tax.
So this is over and above what you do.
Exactly.
So I can give you just a brief estimate. For example, 2.8+ million was our ambulance expenditures. We received 1.1 million in revenue from those ambulance service charges that you talked about, those user fees, those bills. We have a 1.7 million plus deficit, and of that 1.7 million, 68% comes from sales tax, and 32% comes from property taxes.
Yeah. Okay.
Public safety is not a moneymaker for municipalities or counties.
No.
But it is a necessary evil that we have to have. So-
I'd like to make another comment. And first off, thanks the city council people for showing up here and coming up. I appreciate that. And I've been very, very pleased with being able to work with the city council and the city of Watertown over the past few years. I know sometimes it may seem like I'm maybe a little bit abrasive, but that's my job. Yeah, you understand. We've got to protect all the taxpayers. Just this happened before any of us in this room were involved, except maybe Cindy. I hate to age Cindy here, but she
I
might
have no authority.
she might have a reference to this. But I probably one of the old timers on the board here, and I heard it several times over and over again that back many years ago that there was a gentleman's agreement, and it was between Mayor Herb Jensen and Don Johnson was the emergency management director at that time. So we're going back a few pages here now. And so bear with me. And there was an agreement at one time, the services of both of those departments were shared by the county and the city. And Herb Jensen approached us, and not us, I wasn't here either, but approached the board and said, this is really confusing, you know. So it was a gentleman's agreement to say, okay, the county takes emergency management. So we have total expense responsibility for emergency management, and the city has the ambulance service. And I'm reminding people of this. So if we choose not to or to support this situation, that, you know, we shouldn't feel bad because there is an agreement. It's I don't know if it's in the minutes anywhere. Cindy, do you remember? And I concurred with Elmer Brinkman
The minutes are easy to scan. I can look, but
yesterday,
know if it's
just
in
to
the minutes.
confirm what I was pretty sure, and he confirmed it, that was what the agreement was, just so people understand that. And the other thing that people need, that kind of bothered me just a little bit, and I might as well lay all of our laundry out here right now, is when we have a call for service from the jail right here. Ambulance comes and supports us, we actually pay that bill. Do you realize that the county is paying those bills? And so when I'm talking about working with the city and the county, some of these things, you know, we're paying our fair share as we go along here. We're paying that transportation cost for that prisoner. Whose prisoner is it? It's ours, because they're in the county jail. That's all there is to it. But and I sat on the township board for years and years and years, and I know what the feeling is out there, and I've got a couple of those calls already. I appreciate what you're doing, and I've used your service a couple of times already, and the roughest ride I ever had in my life. but
They've improved.
Yeah.
We got a better ride for you.
Yeah, that's good. So that's I'll
on-
get off my soapbox. Okay, go ahead.
I guess, you know, I would support this. I'll just tell you right now, I think that our EMS that we have in Watertown is the best. And if I lived in one of these townships and I had a heart attack, I would hope that only the best would come. And it's a service that the city of Watertown, just like E911, that's not a moneymaker either, right? But we all benefit from having that service. And when we pick up the phone and dial 911, we expect help to arrive. So I know times are tough. This is a hard pill to swallow because you haven't approached us before and never asked us to do this. But I think that times are changing. I think equipment is getting expensive. I think liability costs are out there, and the city is assuming a lot of that. So for me, this is, it's not an easy thing to do, but it's something I'll vote to support because I think we have to. We have to keep that service around, and we appreciate the city and the county partnerships that we have. And we look forward to moving forward. So $150,000 worth of equipment in the back of a $400,000 ambulance or whatever they cost. I mean, that's a sizable investment, and we have to have that. So I'll support it. Thank you.
Madam Chair, just
Yes.
a couple questions. So is that the around the state, looking around the state of South Dakota, do city ambulance services typically agree with townships or with counties? Is there a typical model? that you see?
I think it's all over, isn't it? Doug?
You know, it's the whole EMS system in South Dakota. Back in the 60s, when they started developing these service areas, it's kind of a patchwork between volunteers, hospital-based, county-based services, city-based services. So you can look across the state, and it's all these different venues. But regardless, they're all looking for funding sources through service contracts, through EMS districts. We got a few EMS districts around. We also have contracts for service with just even like small subdivisions. Like let's just say that a big development is outside the city limits, and they wish to contract that service, even if it's different than what maybe the county response would be. They have the right to do that through those agreements. So the biggest thing that's really happened over the state just did a big study about in 2017, and all these services are struggling with funding. Prices have skyrocketed. A lot of our supplies, IVs, medications, we can't even get them because the big hospitals are gobbling them up, and we're just not even able to get it, even if it wasn't the cost problem. But everything's just skyrocketing, and you know, the volunteer services, they have a little different problem. They can't get volunteers anymore to respond to calls. Oh, let's just take South Shore, for instance. A lot of those folks work in Watertown, so it's hard for them to run the ambulance, you know, because they're in Watertown. In the study, it says it takes about $50,000 a year just to start a volunteer ambulance service up. So, you know, it's a major problem. It's a good question, and the state really, there is no mandates.
Right.
We're just being asked in our service areas to work with everybody within it to keep the wheels turning. So
The other question I had was, do you have any other agreements with townships outside of Codington County? Do you have to I know your catchment area goes a little bit outside sometimes.
As far as other counties, you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
We have
or
no
top-
MOUs in place with that yet at this point.
no,
Or-
we
or
do mutual aid. We have mutual aid agreements to help out.
I know a
Like
lot,
Clark
you
County.
guys have gone down to Castlewood and assisted a lot,
Yes.
Lake Norden.
Yep,
Hamlin
mutual aid.
County.
Okay, so that's
Yep.
a different kind of agreement. Okay.
Yeah, that just says we help them out when they need it, and they help us out.
Right, okay.
So. Good question.
So when you go down to, in that scenario, breaking that down a little bit further, so when you go down to Castlewood, do you submit a bill for mutual aid to them?
No, we do submit patient a bill if we transport, yes. And we write in the agreement, if it's, let's say if it's Castlewood, there's an agreement that the patient bill will be sent in by one of the services, and then we cost share that money, the revenue with the Castwoods and the S lines and Clarks and stuff. And that's all in spelled out in writing.
So it gets split.
I might add. So I fielded a few of these calls from some of the township board members. And one of their main questions is like, why is Watertown ambulance or fire ambulance coming to the township? Why aren't they going to the county? And the answer to that is the residents within the city of Watertown are already getting assessed that fee. So if they would have come to us and we would implement it, those individuals in the city of Watertown would be double assessed or get charged double for that fee. So this is their mechanism then to make it across the board for all the residents in the county by going out to the townships for them to also be assessed a fee. So anyways.
But you realize the townships have no money. That's what my calls were. They don't have any money.
Right.
Yeah, that's the
Right.
problem. I mean, really, that's an issue
Yeah.
for a lot of
No,
these
I realize
townships.
that. I'm
you
just
know.
explaining.
They don't have money
why.
to take a tree down. I mean, it's tough.
They got gravel roads that aren't passable anymore, so it's tough. That's a tough deal out there. Just so
Right.
you understand, it's not easy.
I
Yeah,
was-
we worked with the townships on that very matter, and we know, and that's why I think you'll see it. It's a pretty low amount per year for townships. So the fire protection service agreements, this is similar, but those are usually higher in value. But you know, that's a required need for a township where the ambulance service isn't. So we understand the fact that funding is tough for all of us, including the townships and probably especially the townships. So, well, I've been on the phone a long time, a lot of hours working with these townships and understand what they're going through also. So
I don't want to get the cart ahead of the horse, but I know Troy said that he'd support it, but is it our determination
Yeah.
at what level we support it?
This is only discussion.
This is
It's-
just
Yes,
discussion.
Yeah, we are not
Okay,
taking action.
so,
They're
I mean,
just,
we
You-
could decide whatever we want to do.
you know, Commissioner, I would like to just make a comment. We wanted to show you this information so you understood it. So when you have
Appreciate that.
township
Yep.
members coming to you, you kind of have
Yeah.
a direction for them. So,
so we
and
can
they're
answer.
supporting. Here's my biggest concern is that if we don't have full support from the system and someone has a heart attack out on a township road or whatever, they're gonna call 911, okay? This goes over to dispatch. That call's gotta go to someone. I mean, 911 can't say, we don't have anybody that can come and help you. I mean, so that's my concern is I wanna work in a positive approach to work through this as a small community.
And I don't think that the city of Watertown would ever do that, right? I mean, you'd never not come if somebody needed you, right?
We're gonna be there.
Okay, I mean,
They might pull you back. to the
We don't
town
wanna
behind
go
there, or
I do have one, just a comment here. You said you get 68% of your funding from 2% sales tax.
1%.
60%, 68 or whatever it is, percentage of your funding comes from.
There's 2%, like you said, Charlie, but 1% is operating and the other 1% is capital improvement projects. So 1%.
2%, how much is contributed by our people in the township and the rest of the.
Oh,
township
absolutely.
we Spend in Watertown. So in essence, this is a double tax.
Actually, the sales tax that you're talking about, everybody contributes to that, yes.
Yes.
But not everybody
That's state
contributes,
law.
but not everybody contributes to the property tax, that 32% that Brenda alluded to.
I would just like to throw out one other comment is what happens if we have someone that doesn't pay? Is it going to be fair to everybody else that all these other
Yeah.
townships that work so hard for their money? So my goal is to work with them so they have service. If they don't see the value in what we're providing for $3.40, you know, they have the right, we can't force them to sign in. They have the right to look at other ambulance services around the area to provide for them. And, you know, we've been doing it, but it's just not fair to the whole EMS system. If you have one township or one village that just says, we're not going to pay. And that's kind of why we're here, just to let you aware of that. So
what is the time frame, or when do you make a final hard line decision on what you're gonna do?
I think we can answer that.
Yeah, thank you. Is this on?
Yep.
Thank you. I apologize. I wasn't clear. We don't need any county action, but we wanted to alert you that at our next council meeting, we are planning on taking action on finalizing this and moving towards enforcement. Because we just can't, as Chief Kranz just said, we can't have some not paying and everyone else paying. It's a matter of fairness. So if you have fielded questions before, the chances of you fielding more questions in the near future are going to go up. So we wanted to let you know about that. One other thing that Commissioner Johnson has asked about, where you do get billed for that service as well. That is true, but here's a letter that Councilman Billauer gave to me and reminded me of this. So the total cost of service was this is in the 2020 letter, $2,854,000, and the revenue from service calls was only $1,100,000. So this is still a really big money loser for us, and that is still a lot of money that the city is paying, and then the towns and townships are coming in. And then also, let's say with the example of Florence, at 1.38% of the county population, we could actually ask them to pay that prorated share of $7,683, but instead we are asking them for only $2,500. So we are not trying to make money off of anybody here. It's more just an agreement for service, and we feel that there's a little bit of an upfront cost that would make that official. And that's what the city is trying to do with all of these towns and townships. So thank you.
So once this is finalized, if a township decides not to participate or can't afford to, their service stops at that point.
We are still working through that, but I will rely on the experts here, but we would make the request. We need them. We don't want anyone to be without service. So if they don't go with us, they can go with one of the other ambulance services in the area.
Reed, for clarification, my question was, is that 68%, 32 was, if that was over and above what was collected from calls of service? That's what my question was, just so it isn't taken out of context.
Okay. Sorry.
Got that?
Madam Chair, just a quick
Yes.
question. So how does this, I mean, are there, I mean, I'm one of the two commissioners with Commissioner Van Duzen that we just have jurisdictions within the city, or our districts are just within the city of Watertown. So we don't hear from the townships quite as much, but what about the budget cycle for the townships? I mean, if this is a major expense for them, I'm not familiar with the township budget cycle. So are they having to approve their budgets
Yearly,
in September?
calendar year.
In September.
The paperwork that I gave you is the property tax collection that they will start collecting January 1 of 2021. Keep in mind, they also get revenue from motor vehicle fees. They have other revenue sources, and I do have copies of all of the township annual reports, which are public records that I could share with you if you want to.
My concern is if they have to make a quick change to their budget, is how hard is that to do? It's kind of that's kind of my question. So
My comment on that is they've known about it since last fall.
All right.
So,
no, that's
yeah. And I would just like to also say, those couple that refuse to sign, if there is such a thing, when this all comes to the deadline, whatever that may be, I would like to say that if they're not happy with our service, they at least look at another service, the closest service. And just so all the citizens of that township or city or whatever the case may be is aware of that change, because I don't think a lot of our community residents really even know nothing about this. So, I'd want to make sure it was publicly known and stuff. So
Can we go over the townships that have not signed an agreement again, Don, so we have those. I know it's on the,
or 9, I believe, right here.
I know it's on the roster, but just so the word is out there.
Those 4 townships, as you can see, it's Eden, it's Graceland, Phipps, and Henry Township. And then our 2 city villages again are Henry and Florence.
In Florence. Okay.
What you're saying is the Fuller Township has agreed, but the city of Florence is not.
Correct.
Is that right?
That's correct.
And $17,000 compared to, and I know from past experience, medical expenses. Medical stuff is expensive. It's just like buying parts for your airplane.
Yes.
The cost, the same thing can power your cable on your lawnmower, but once it goes in an airplane or an ambulance, the price goes up tenfold. And it just seems $17,000. It seems like,
But it's
a
not.
small amount compared to $310,000 for an ambulance.
Florence is 2,500 and Henry is 1,500.
Right, so you were saying 17,000, it's not. That's what they could have assessed, but you're only assessing 25.
17,000 is all townships and all
Oh,
villages.
everything
combined.
total. You're talking about total. Okay.
17,000 is small.
Okay, Charlie. Sorry.
And I appreciate that comment, Charlie, because
What it costs for, and why such a small amount?
the reason we did that is we understood what Commissioner Johnson said, is these townships do not have any money. These cities do not have any money. And we realized that it's important to keep it as low as possible to make it work for them. And we wanted to stay exactly what Chief Cran said, is we want to stay within partnership with these folks like we have for the last 7 years.
The response that I've been getting in the calls, and it's been over the last 6-9 months or whatever, and it's more of the heavy-handedness of Watertown versus the rural. And that's what I've been hearing from again and again. So $17,000 is something that would create ill will.
Did you like to speak?
Council President Animal, the one thing that for people that were asking about the budgeting, I think they should be able to use the CARES Act because this is a fire rescue service, at least for the first year, so they'd be able to get their budgeting under control for this year. And depending on what happens with that going forward, it may be able for another year, depending on what they come up
Were
with.
townships awarded?
Not townships, city villages.
Okay,
Villages were.
okay.
And the other thing that we're trying to, and I think what, our chief and assistant chief don't want to say is we don't want to have any black areas where we don't have service. They could go through Clark, I believe would be the closest one that would have ambulance service. And if they want to do that, they're more than welcome to do that. It's just a matter of what the townships and the villages want to do. It's a distance thing as well. I mean, Clark's, close to Henry, community of Henry, but for Florence, they're, that's another 20 miles past it. So some of it's a timing issue. I think the city of Watertown and the Watertown Fire Rescue will do whatever they can to make sure that we're, keeping our citizens safe, whether they're paying a fee or not, or just trying to get a little help to offset the costs. I mean, it's a huge dollar amount, and they're not making money. It's not like they're taking lavish trips or anything. So we're just trying to make sure that everyone is on the same boat. And as you can tell by the screen up there, most of the townships and the communities have paid. They understand the services. It's one of those that you don't need it until you need it. So we need to make sure that they're available and ready for any citizen that may need to call, whether it's an accident or a fire or anything else that goes with it. Just medical emergency in general. So
Just for the sake of our viewers online, Elmira has paid now.
Yes.
It's red up there.
Absolutely.
so that's all I got. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And like you said, the last comment I have is that the 4 townships I've been working with over the last 2 weeks that have not signed and very positive on all 4 of them. I've done a lot of talking to each member of the board and very positive. They're just in the field right now. So, and it's hard for them to get together when they're trying to get the crops out. So I'm staying in contact with them. So.
Do you know what the amounts are for those 4?
Yes. 500, 500, 500, and 750. I believe Eden Township is 750.
2250.
Correct.
Thank you.
I guess the point I was trying to make is, the Watertown residents have been paying this assessed fee, for I don't know how many years it's been on their tax. So this is then to kind of spread the whole thing across county-wide, then that all the residents will be paying for this service. So it's a fair way of trying to include everyone and make it.
So to be clear, the residents of Watertown are not paying a specific fee. They're
It's
paying
within their-
property taxes, which support the
supports it.
ambulance service.
Right.
Yeah, nobody's being assessed a specific fee. Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe there wouldn't have been quite as much grumbling out and about and talking if this had been explained right off the bat in a little different manner.
Like I said, though, we did offer those meetings up last fall.
Yeah, this is nothing new. This is nothing.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in a different way. Exactly. Not knowing what that different way would have been.
All right. Any other questions?
Very informative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
for-
guys. So you will be taking action at your next council meeting on this to finalize it? Is that right,
I
Reed?
believe so. We haven't gotten it on the agenda yet.
Okay. Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
All right.
for,
Thank you.
thank all of you for coming in and sharing your thoughts with us. We appreciate that very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks. All right.
Are you going to offer air service pretty soon?
We would like to, but as Charlie said, the cost of airplanes is just
Somebody must need some flying hours.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reed.
Thanks. Maybe Lake Area's got a program with their flying club.
Yeah. They probably put us on a drone.
All right, we'll move to item number 7, monthly reports, emergency management. Jamie.
Good morning, Jamie. Good morning.
Morning, Jamie.
Well, I will say it's been a very quick September for myself as far as things have been going on. It's stayed on the relatively quiet side, to be honest with you. I'll just start off since our last meeting, things that I've attended and done. I've attended the kickoff meeting for the United Way on behalf of the search and rescue team, which was granted the funds for their trainings. We hosted a training event at the search and rescue building and an evening dive and equipment showing. So the grant of United Way has clear understanding of what that team does for them. On the other half, I've hosted our local LEPC meeting, and we will be hosting another one in October and in November to meet our state and local requirements under our grant purposes. I did attend the South Dakota Emergency Management Association's conference in Spearfish, which gave me opportunities and multiple training of breakout sessions of National Weather Service, Incident Command Systems, and a meeting with more so familiarizing myself with a lot of unknown faces, which gave me a better outlook and understanding of being new to this game. During that, there was an award that was given to our Secretary Sherry Hall on a certification of the Emergency Manager B status, which took about between 5 and 6 years. So I applaud her for that. And I will be working on that same status in the next few. Attended some training in Pierre that dealt with field force as far as more law enforcement, but there was quite a few key topics as far as planning and funding and how that plays out. I continue to attend local COVID task force meetings and county task force meetings that we host. Lately, it's been about every other week, so we've got a pretty good uptick as far as case count and positives have resolved or come out from that. Currently, looking at yesterday's, I do my own little spreadsheet in our 10 Region 2 population status. I'd still divide that out. Right now, we currently have 642 actives within my 10 county region, which we visit with my regional coordinator and other partners, other county EMs, and discuss things that we could do different or what have you. Not a lot of local changes, even as far as surrounding communities and counties. The challenges of the basic needs of thermometers and such have been granted, but just forecasting and preaching that common sense values and factors and keeping yourself safe as far as social distancing and all the 3 W's of CDC. What was it? And as far as local response on our local task force, there hasn't been a lot. I did do some thermometers for a local area clinic. Looking at maybe providing getting more information. There's some preliminary talks about a possible COVID vaccine. Those are very still preliminary, possibly the end of the year, November, probably. And I believe those designs are still being drawn up as far as Monument Health, Sanford, and Avera, the 3 big key stakeholders in health system. But I believe that'll also be challenged out to our local facility of Prairie Lakes. So some preliminary planning is going to be taking place in the next week or so. I did suspend siren testing for the year. Last Friday would have been the last one until next spring with the fall change upon us and coming October, which is typically what we've always done. Weather Service this month, and I haven't read into it real hard, but they're going to rezone as far as wildfire dangers coming up, and we will be a numeric number and a little more county area associated. We're looking into that and getting a hold with National Weather Service out of Aberdeen and what that really looks like. And does it roll out? Maybe Troy,
I don't remember
October 31st.
The exact date on it was coming up.
It's coming up. So
Yeah,
we'll be
the end of
considered the number is 272 will be our zoning area.
It'll make it a little easier.
It will, other than the 4 quadrants. Also, business-wise, we've reviewed our local emergency operations plan book, which is something that used to be done annually. A couple years ago, I believe the chair had to sign off on that. 2 years ago, I've been noted that they don't require that anymore, but my office has to sign off on it and to justify. But there's been minimal, no changes other than maybe a few name changes and some resource changes. So the LEOP has been reviewed and there will be no changes made to it other than those minimal things. Other than that, I'm busy but quiet.
Jamie, will you be involved in any flu shot programs or anything with the schools or anything like that?
That's what's gonna be getting looked at as far as influenzas or the COVID vaccination.
No, the flu shot.
Flu shot, right now that was suspended. We were gonna host that exercise, but there was no will of the management team on that side of it to move forward due to the fact that we're coming close to a COVID vaccination possibility. But then we would move forward with the pod plan as that would go, which would take part in the extension.
Yeah.
The desire, I mean, with the pharmacies and the local healthcare, that was kind of the mindset that people will probably challenge themselves more so to go get their flu shot locally at their local doctor, clinic, or pharmacy. So they suspended October 26th, I believe, would have been our pod. But now things will be coming into play, I think preliminary here in the next week, is if we get more reach from the South Dakota Department of Health and Coalition.
It doesn't mean you shouldn't get your flu shot.
No, highly recommended.
Yeah.
You know, state-wise and CDC-wise, they are really forecasting and preaching that to people because this will be, you know, a separate strain of COVID, the influenza B's and A's. So yeah, recommended you get your flu shots for the seasons.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question and make a comment? So the LEOP has no needs no procedural changes.
No
They're just
procedural
minor.
changes,
minor changes.
minor name changes of
Okay.
resource lists and.
Okay.
very
And then my
simple
other
things.
comment is I want to thank Jamie for loaning us his office staff for the last 10 days. We would not be as caught up as we are with absentee ballots if Sherry had not come over every day to help us.
Very welcome.
Very good.
And be sure and pass our congratulations on to Sherry for it. So you,
Absolutely.
that took some dedication and some work, I'm sure.
It's about a 5-year situation
deal.
between all the classes that the state offers and FEMA offers.
That's kind of like the 6th grade for me.
Yeah.
5 years.
And then there's another challenge status, which I'm sure she'll conquer someday possibly, so along with myself. I mean, it's about a 5-year process by the looks of it. And there's, through the
Good.
Emergency Management Association, there is guidance with a couple of the local county units that kind of take on the program.
Good.
Aid us through it.
Very good. Any other questions for Jamie? We do have the burn ban on just as, you know, every week to week. What's the,
Well, we were
Scenario.
blessed with about 1600s, I think officially was the report. I had 2300s in my gauge in the northeast part over the last couple of days, but we are moving into, this is coming out of Darren Clavel out of wildfire side. We get a weekly report from the state office. We are leaning towards a drier conditions and season. Their big concern, I believe, is those relative humidities and the winds. So we're kind of leaning into that drier, droughtish, but we're not.
I did have one of my neighbors burned his ditch this weekend.
Yeah.
So they're gonna try it.
It's fine until Sunday. Sunday would not have been a good
Yeah.
one.
Sunday was very- yeah, it was
Should burn
very
pretty
windy.
quick.
so should be good on that for this week. We'll just kind of keep an eye
I
on
would-
week by week and area by area. and-
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, visiting with the 2 fire chiefs in our local county. 2 of them still gave me that we are good.
Okay.
Thus far, as a burn ban would be, they don't see a need quite yet, but those
Well.
things could change abruptly.
All right. We'll just
Within a
leave
week
it
or
on
two.
there and see.
We
if-
stay in this dry pattern, and I think that's kind of what we're leaning to in the 6 to 10 day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a big forecast model of precipitation, but some winds and relative humidities of getting lower than that 40% values are coming into play. Then we've got sounds like a killing frost coming.
Mhm,
probably this week.
Thursday.
Probably the thing that's gonna happen now is with the harvest in full swing, and I mean, it's in full swing. You know, you get a hot bearing, overheated bearing or something like that, and get a fire going out in the soybean field or cornfield or something like that.
I guess we could throw this out there, as 2 folks, if you do plan on doing a controlled burn of some nature, lean on the big side of safety and contact either the sheriff's department or the dispatch center or your local fire jurisdiction department. That's what's taking place, so we're very well aware of it in case. that
And the
kind of
producers
comes.
could hook their big tractor up to a field cultivator or a disc
Or disc.
and have it sitting,
They are a great
Somewhat.
resource when a big one
you bet,
gets away on them to get in front of that.
you bet. Thank you, Jamie. Any questions?
Good.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. All right, we'll move on then to item number 8, and that would be Rick, action to approve a change order for the County Road 44 bridge replacement. This is the one I think you told us about.
Good morning.
Good
Yes.
morning, Rick.
All right.
Yeah, this was the bridge, the new bridge that's going over County Road 4 north of town. The change order was for $28,020 to build a coffer dam, dewatering, labor, and then $3,000 for materials. There was a change in the bridge, the way it was designed, so they had to do this, and it's already been done, so they can keep moving on building the bridge. The bridge is a slow process. I told them that we need this bridge before winter because the one north of it's in the process of getting load restrictions, so.
Make a motion to approve.
So second it.
Okay, motion by Gable, second by Johnson. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries.
I'd like to add
Sure.
that we had a meeting last week with NextEra and Blattner on the Crown Ridge 1. They're still gonna try and patch. There was approximately 36 spots
Uh-huh.
from South Shore down past Kransburg. And what they plan on doing is milling out 4 inches of material, blacktopping those spots. And this is just a temporary patch to get us through the winter. We're in the process of what needs to be done. And
What about the Troy Road? That one's included in that too?
yes, yep. And we met with them on 10 miles of gravel in the Waverly and South Shore area to try and get them to get things straightened out. Because there was a lot of work that needs to be done before winter. And
That's
the
a lot.
asphalt, if they don't get it patched, they'll have to cover up the spots. If they can't do a good enough job, they'll have to maintain it this winter.
That's on the gravel.
And they're hoping to get it done because I think they have most of the turbines set up. There's still a few cranes around, but I think they're planning on shutting down for the winter.
Mm.
So
The rocks disappeared and the timber and all that.
I
yet?
haven't been up there this week. I thought I'd give them a few days to start
Right. And then
getting
those
things done.
culverts have to be reset in a few places and all that.
Yeah, there's a whole list of stuff
Yeah.
that, as we went around and pointed out some more things to them.
Mhm.
And so hopefully they're getting after it.
Otherwise
Oh.
they'll be taking them over for the winter.
Yes. And I'll probably be making a trip through there this afternoon to see how things are coming. So like I said, I thought I'd give them a few days to get moving on it.
Right.
But there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Mhm,
So
For sure. That's good. Hopefully that can be resolved.
yes,
Thank you, Rick.
thank you.
Thanks, Rick. All right, then we'll move on to item number 9, action to approve several Memorial Park roofing projects. Good morning, Steve. You have that
Hey, Steve.
information for us?
Good morning. Yes, I do. I have 2 items here that are first on the list of roof repair. One would be the reshingling of the house and shed. And then plus there's a little bit of damage that's on the rake of the office. And plus the second one is lower bathhouse to re-roof that one. These 2 items are budgeted items for the project for this year. The last 2 items are the bathhouse by the Scout building and the bathhouse over in the west part of the park. These items are going to be redone from the insurance that was issued, insurance check that was issued for damages from the storm back in June. That check, I believe, was $12,010, roughly. Something like
We'll
that.
be doing an automatic budget supplement later in the meeting for that.
We just do one motion for all. Yes, you may.
Oh, that's good. Yep, Madam Auditor.
Is that, okay, should we do
Oh,
one
yes.
motion? for the
No,
whole
no,
thing?
you can do one more. The total cost I have is $22,614.31. And we will need proof of insurance from
Okay.
this company,
Yep.
including whether or not workman's comp.
Okay, yep, we'll do that.
I'll make a motion to. approve.
Second,
Motion by Gable, second by Johnson. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Aye. Opposed, that motion carries. All right, thanks, Steve. Cindy, would you like to mention the 2020 County Safety Awards that we received at our annual convention?
Yes, at our annual conference this year, Codington County was awarded safety and loss control recognition through our insurance company, South Dakota Public Assurance Alliance. The gold level, both the Codington County Highway Department and Codington County Maintenance Department received recognition. And the county also received a platinum level recognition.
Hey, good job, guys.
I have this brochure. Do you have this one too?
I do have that. Yes.
Thanks for being safe.
Yep, it helps.
And this,
Salute.
these recognitions lower our overall
Yes.
cost of insurance. We get a control credit for that, so.
Definitely is. a
Thanks
benefit.
for everybody for saving the county a little money.
That's right.
All right, item number 12, note employees with years of service.
Annually, our association recognized employees with 25, 30, 35, and 40, and I'm not sure if it goes up to 45 years of service. And this year, Codington County has 2 employees who have reached the 25-year mark. First one is Christy Gast. She is the Codington County Criminal Civil Records Manager in the Sheriff's Office. And Rick Holinka is the County Highway Maintenance 3. Both of those employees have reached their 25-year mark.
All right, thank you for their service. Item number 13, action on recommendations from safety benefits. Well,
So safety benefits was back in July. We met with them. And they go through our procedures. They sit down with us. They sat down with myself and Steve. I think the highway department also met with them, and probably Matt and Brad in the sheriff's office. And they go over everything to make sure we're doing everything we can to lower our risk. And they have made the following recommendations that we need to respond to within 60 days for different areas of the county. And if we get a response back to them within 60 days, then we will get our safety credit applied to our premium. We don't necessarily have to have the items taken care of, but if we have a target date, they will take that into consideration also. So these are a number of things, and as this board is the governing board, it is kind of your responsibility to make sure that these things are taken care of, along with the department heads. So I will be sending these out to the appropriate department heads, and there's a number of things they want us to take care of and have in place.
all right, well,
So would we, I mean, I see there's quite a stack of recommendations here, all the way down to bloodborne pathogens. So would this be something we'd want to put in our personnel manual, or?
No, not necessarily.
just this one of personal policies.
We already have that in place. I'm not sure why that's on here. Yeah, each employee receives a copy of the personnel policy manual when they start working with us. Updates should be handled in the same manner. We have been doing that. I'm not sure why that's on here. So this first page is administrative things, which would kind of pertain to the board. I don't know that we have the waiver. Non-employees riding in an entity-owned vehicle. So when this would happen would be like when a department head is going to a conference and they would wish to take their spouse with them, or another person from another county, they recommend we have them sign a waiver. And it's recommended that we do an incident report every time our AED is used. Has it ever been used? Not that I'm aware of, so I can't. I think all we have to show is that we have an incident report form in place. The blood-borne pathogens, that's totally out of, and the hepatitis B vaccinations. Yes.
That may fall under your search and rescue. Workers' comp, because when I first joined that, we were required to go through that.
Well,
What bad the issue is,
well, it's recommended that each member of our service, I don't know if that means every employee is offered a hepatitis B vaccination. I don't know. And then we document any training that an employee receives. So when the highway department does their, what's it called? Underground mining. I can't, MSHA, when they have their MSHA training, that should be documented and kept on file, probably in their personnel files.
So it sounds to me like we need a bit of clarity on what exactly what we're supposed to do.
Well, and there are samples. So here is.
Well, and if we're doing some of these, I guess.
Yeah,
we can write
I
back
don't
and say-
I don't understand. Does that mean every county employee needs to have a hepatitis? I mean, yes, we offer those to our correctional officers, I believe. They all receive them. I'm not sure about the sheriff's employees. I don't know that I don't.
So people that are at higher risk.
Yeah, my office, I don't know that. That's a question that I will have to ask safety benefits. I don't know.
I personally think it's probably good to put it in the personnel manual because that way we won't lose track of it. Sometimes when we do a policy, it's kind of goes off.
So what do you think should go in the personnel
I mean,
manual?
whatever we want an employee to do. If we want to remember, we want to remember to do something that seems like the manual will put
Okay,
it in.
all right.
If we don't want to remember to do something, we just.
Yeah,
create a
anything
straight
that
policy.
pertains to employees, yes, should go in
Yeah.
the personnel
Like
manual.
the
That
grievance, which you said we already have.
the grievance procedure.
Yeah, like a grievance procedure.
You know, there was something on grievance
Yeah, that's.
procedures too that
A lot of stuff on hepatitis.
they
Yeah.
did not want grievance procedures in our policy. Who was, I can't remember who that was that recommended we remove, I think it was the insurance company. They suggest we remove the grievance procedure from our
State
policy.
law no longer requires a city county to have a grievance procedure in place for non-union employees.
Right, and they recommended we remove that from our policy.
To avoid later legal issues, it's recommended that you do not include that procedure for non-union employees.
Okay,
So then what's the point of this? It's an explanation of it.
Would
I-
we,
I-
maybe we could ask Natalie and whoever else and Jamie to research, get to the bottom of what we actually ought to do. So would that be? would
Is
be
that
a good thing
reasonable? Is
to
that
do?
within the scope of, pardon?
I think
It's
I
in the
included
agenda
it in the
packet. It's in
packet,
the agenda packet.
and I think I copied, or I think I put you on there, so, okay, yeah, all right.
Under maintenance and custodial, under A03, it's recommended that if a member refuses the hepatitis vaccine, they sign a waiver and they offer them.
So maybe it is just the maintenance and custodial part, because you would be the people dealing with falls in the bill. So, okay, that clarifies part of that to me, that this falls under maintenance and custodial. It's your employees that should be offered the hepatitis B vaccinations.
Does any of the
Okay.
staff in the detention center deal with some of that as well?
I think they automatically get the hepatitis B vaccination. We'll have to check with Matt, but
What is this? Safety Benefits Incorporated has a sample available upon request.
They will give.
of
you-
the waiver form.
Yeah.
Waiver.
The waiver
Okay.
form. Yep,
It's available.
Reading too much into it.
yep. Nope, they have a sample. Yeah.
So to answer
Okay.
back, we need to let them know, I don't know. It's a work in progress. We are taking it under
Yes,
advisement and
yes.
doing.
Yes, so I'm
So-
gonna be sending these these recommendations out to the appropriate department head, and they will need to get it back to me within 60 days. I don't see anything in here for our correctional department, so I'm hoping that they're up to speed.
So we have 60 days to work on it. We need to let them know that we are. in the
I have
process?
to send these back. Yep,
Within 60 days.
Within that 60 days.
within 60 days, noting that we are addressing it, and if we have a target date. So,
All right.
yeah.
And then some of the things that are already addressed, we can let them know.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. That takes care of that. Item number 15, action to approve claims for payment.
The only claims we have today are payroll claims. And I think I laid, September payroll claims are in the total amount of $569,641.91. This includes all the step increases that you have previously approved for employees who are entitled to their step increase.
Motion by Gable, second by Van Duzen. Any other discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Okay, I think we're going to now address the 2021 provisional budget, and we'll look for action to adopt the budget and levy resolution. So,
Do we do those separately?
Yeah, let's do them separately.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget for
Alright.
2021.
we have a motion by Gable. Do I have a
I'd
second?
second that.
Second by Waterman. All right, any discussion on that?
The comment that I would make is that, Madam Chair, is that I'll support the approval of the proposed budget, but just because it's budgeted doesn't mean that we have to spend it. I just want to emphasize that, because when we get down to the nitty gritty, there are a couple items on there that I will need to be sold on before I can vote for them. I will present some pushback at that particular time, or some itemized explanations of some of these items, but I will support it at this time.
All right. And yes, the budget is just the plan. So,
It's not burning a hole in our pocket. We can keep it.
I do have an amendment I'd like to move.
okay, Commissioner Gable.
Or any other, yeah, so I'd make a motion that we amend the budget on 2 places. The first one is activity 111, which is the commissioner's budget, and that is line 425. And that's the line that we're using to cover the IT managed services. And I would, in the motion, I'd move that we'd increase that by $1,440. So that would change it from 43,942, 45,380. And the reason for that is, as we do the IT managed services, we may need to add a few PCs. So that would basically allow us to add 4 personal computers, which cost $30 a piece to under this plan per month. So that's just to allow for that flexibility. So we may not need that. So that's what that one is.
What was the dollar amount again? Commissioner
So that
Gable?
would change, that would add $1,440 to that line. So that's line 425 of activity 111. It's on the screen if you want to see what it looks like. It's kind of small, but I can make it bigger. And then the other one, the other part of this motion would be to try to be as clear as I can for Cindy, is in the welfare budget, which is activity 411. And that would be to change line 422, which is care of the poor professional services, from $10,000 to $39,000. And that's to add $29,000 to that line for what we talked about before, the possibility of an additional case manager in that office. So that amount of money it still gives us the flexibility to decide how we want to do that, whether we want to go with ICAP or what's.
Well, it's 2 different. If
No.
you're going to have an employee, it needs to be added to wages. But that being said, as long as we have it within the budget,
We'd have to-
it'll be fine.
Yeah, we'd have to have have another action to change.
No,
the
no,
local
we'll just,
budget.
you can go over in a specific line item as long as your bottom line is fine.
Okay,
But they will be considered two different services. If
Oh,
you're
yeah,
at the
one's
high
in-
cap,
one will be
that
paid,
would be
yeah,
422. So,
so either way, the amount of money we cover, whether it's
Right,
payroll, whether
correct,
it's payroll
yep.
or professional services.
correct, yes,
So that the idea there.
yes, okay.
So, and you could, I don't know if you remember Sarah's estimate, the estimate we got for ICAP were about that amount. So that's the.
Yep,
intent of
that is workable. I just wanted to point it
Yeah.
out that is two different
What's that number
categories.
again?
So,
29.
yeah, good. So adding in 29,000. So this is what let me make that a little bigger. so
For a
you can see.
case manager, right?
And so,
Whichever
that-
route you intend to go.
so that's kind of the idea there. So that's my motion. That's my
Okay.
amendment motion.
Commissioner Gable, what about in the commissioner's budget activity, line item 429?
I think we had, hold on, let me go back here. It's out on the screen. yeah.
429, yeah, what is in?
I think
that?
I think we're okay there. That's because we already discussed.
62,000.
Yeah, because we already discussed that. And so Cindy had already added that one. So the non-red numbers are what was sent to the paper. So that's the,
Correct.
yeah,
Right.
so,
Yes, yep.
Okay, because I was
So-
thinking there was gonna be a 4,000 increase, 66 for a couple different,
yeah, I think we're okay. I
okay,
think we're okay with that one.
all right.
So the motion, Commissioner Gable's motion is to add 1,440 to the commissioner's budget and 29,000 to the welfare budget.
And to go back, so the smaller one in the commissioner's budget, that's just in case we need to add a little bit to the IT managed services. If we
Mhm.
buy another PC or something, you want, because we're concerned about, cyber issue, cybersecurity. That's to make sure that we can cover that. And also as they onboard, I don't know if they completed the onboarding yet, but they may find a stray, an extra PC that wasn't known.
They just started coming through the
So-
offices yesterday
So
to make
that's,
sure.
that's
Yeah,
a definite possibility. So either way, whether we add a PC or they find one that they weren't tracking, that's probably a smart thing to do. So.
so
that's
that
my-
would
that's my
bring
motion.
the county's total budget to 17,978,227, if I added correctly. From what was published.
Say that number one more time, Cindy.
I want to add it up again. And then I'll give it to you. 17,978,000. Now I came up with 327 instead of 227. Hang on, fat fingers today.
Somewhere in there.
We're close.
In no sense.
Right.
What?
We're all the same.
227. I had it right the first time.
So
17,978,227.
And no sense.
Even. We do that on purpose.
All right, so we have a motion to amend the budget made by Commissioner Gable. We still need a second.
I'll second.
Second by Van Duzen. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor, say aye to
Aye.
vote on the amendment.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Okay, so now we got to go back to
The original motion to approve the budget as amended. So
So I would look for a motion. to-
we have Gable and Waterman made a motion and seconded to adopt the budget. So that's where we're at.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Passed it
Hearing,
through.
hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries.
Then we just need to adopt the budget resolution, which sets the levy for pay 2021. General fund levy will be 3.095, which is, let me see here. Tell you what we're at this year. The levy for taxes payable in 2020, the general fund levy is 3.114. This would put the 2021 levy at 3.095. And that would give us the maximum we are allowed by statute to collect in property taxes.
So what was the number before
3.114. And the reason it fluctuates like that is because of where the valuations are. So our valuations have
Right.
apparently increased, which would lower our levy
Right.
slightly to
Yeah.
3.095, but we are still levying the maximum we are allowed by law without opting out.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
All right, have a motion by Gable,
Second.
second by Van Duzen. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Well, we have our budget adopted for 2021. Okay, item number 16, action, possible discussion on COVID-19 practices, procedures, policies, or anything we need to note about that?
Madam Chair, when we just before the meeting, one of the department heads came in and just asked us to clarify something, and maybe Natalie, if you want to chime in, but we don't really need to make a motion, I don't think, but because of some offices have some pretty critical tasks this time of year with elections and tax season, and they need to collect property taxes in the treasurer's office, for example. There may be times when if an employee leaves that office space and they want to they need to walk to the courthouse for some reason, the department head may want to direct them to wear a mask. And so that, just understood, as long as we're talking about while they're at work, our understanding is that's okay, that the department head can do that. And it is, some offices this time of year, it is pretty critical to be able to do that if that's what the department head thinks needs to be done. So that's, just wanted to clarify that point.
So it could be different from office to office then as to
Yeah.
what the procedure are depending on the department head's direction.
Yeah.
Everyone's okay with that?
Mhm.
Okay, just kind of make a mental note then. All right, item number 17, action to approve automatic budget supplements.
We have several budget supplements. First one is for the emergency management fund for reimbursement with COVID funds in the amount of $5,840.26. Also for the emergency management office, a supplement of $1,250 for pod grant funds for a claim that we paid to the local pod manager. And then to the Memorial Park budget, $12,079.57 with insurance proceeds from storm damage on June 4th.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Gable,
Second.
second by Waterman. Any discussion? And that's where those funds will come to do those repairs on those two facilities that were damaged from the storm. So, all right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Item number 18, action to approve personnel changes.
I have none today.
None. And travel requests,
none of those
none.
either.
Public notices, possible quorum of commissioners could be in attendance. Anyone have anything that they can think of? Okay. Item number 21, old business. Is there any old business? Hearing none. Any new business?
We'll think of something next week.
Yeah. Anything for the open? I don't think we received any public comments.
No, I just need some clarification. I don't know, should I put something in the minutes about employees or employer? Your department head has the right to require employees to wear their masks if they're outside their office area and still in the courthouse. Is that, do you want me to note that in the minutes? Do you want me to note that in the minutes? Do you want to each
Someone wanna
talk to
require
your departments as liaisons to recommend? I guess I don't know how you want to handle that. Do you want something to come out from Natalie, or the board is recommending if an employee has to be outside their office
Yeah.
within the building, right?
Right,
I like
just
that.
within the building.
While at work.
Yeah, only at work.
Okay,
In our
So-
office.
is that
I
okay?
think
If
that's okay to recommend that.
Okay.
I don't think you need to take action on that.
It should
No.
come through, it should come through HR.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a
Just to
recommend.
send a memo out to everyone that.
Okay, okay,
Department head will have some of that authority to
okay,
recommend
all right.
for the integrity of the workforce
Yes,
during these
okay.
busy times.
It's amazing the number of people who are coming in to vote that are wearing masks. It's,
People are being cautious.
yes.
All right, item number 24, action to enter an executive session, and we do have with Natalie under negotiations number 3. Contract negotiations. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to
Motion by
enter
Van
into executive
Duzen.
session.
Second by Gable. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will be going into executive session. Thanks, everyone, for coming.
Joel, I forget to kind of sign things. Usually I-
We can also, we can also do it, but yeah.
I could do that. I could do that while you're in executive session. That resolution, yeah. I've got several that I want you to sign.
Okay.
One for me, one for the Department of Revenue, and one for the resolution book. Okay.